Okay, students, Namaste. Today we are going to continue our unit Body Structure and Life Processes, and under it, the second lesson is today, in which we will read mainly about animal tissues. Before it, we have finished about plant tissues, in which we studied that plant tissues are those which are made of plant cells, and they are divided into two major types. They are meristematic tissue and permanent tissue. Meristematic tissue was divided into three mainly: apical, lateral, and intercalary. Then we divided the permanent tissues into three main types: simple, compound, and simple, complex, and special. And their subtypes where also we have studied. Today we are going to read about animal tissues. So before starting the lesson, I have to make you to think something. So just think once about that question. What is it? What are the similarities and dissimilarities between animal and plant tissues? Are they same? Are very similar? Are different? Find out. Okay, so let's see. We will discuss about the differences between animal and plant tissues, and whatever you have found and how correct points you have found, you will compare with it. So in this table, we are going to discuss about these two tissues. The first point, plant tissues are made of plant cells. You are familiar with cells. So plant cells constitute plant tissues, and animal cells constitute animal tissues. So here it is written, animal tissues are made of animal cells. Okay, very simply you can say that. Second one, in this tissue, growth cells are found in particular regions only. Do you remember what is the region? Or what are the regions? Yes, tip of stem, tip of root. There are mainly meristematic tissues. Lateral tissues, lateral meristem are also found at other regions, but not a total region. This growth tissue is found. But in animal's body, about all the parts has growth tissues, growth cells. Okay, that is difference. Now next, this tissue is able to grow whole life. Plant tissues, plant cell grow to whole life. So every time plant shows growth. But in animals, after a certain time, the growth is restricted. And due to that, you have seen that very old people have that shrinked skins, thin body. You have seen. It is because their cell growth is not as proper as it was in younger stage. Okay. Now, next point, plant tissues may made of living or dead cells, but here no animal tissue with dead cells. All the animal tissues have living cells. So they are differences. Similarities, you can say yourself, as you were asked in the question. Animal tissue and plant tissue both are made of cells. Yes, like that, other things both do particular function. So you will find yourself about similarities. Some differences we have discussed. Now we are going to read about different types of animal tissues. How many types are there? At first I am going to present in the form of chart. So look here, animal tissues. Animal tissue is divided into four major types. First one is epithelial tissue, epithelial tissue, muscular tissue. Next is connective tissue, and last one is what? Nervous tissue. And today we will discuss in detail about some of them only. At first you be familiar with the name of the different type of animal tissues. Okay. So epithelial tissue is further divided into different types. Look, there are four types. They are pavement epithelium, cubical epithelium, columnar epithelium, glandular epithelium. Only they are main. You may be listened about ciliated epithelium. Yes, reproductive epithelium. Yes, reproductive epithelium. So there are some other names also. There are some more types also, but main are four: pavement, cubical, columnar, and glandular. Okay. And muscular tissue is further divided into three major types. They are skeletal muscle, cardiac muscle, and smooth muscle. As about these types we will discuss later. So I'm not going to elaborate again about them. Yes, just name you have to memorize today. Skeletal muscle, cardiac muscle, and smooth muscle. Okay, friends. Connective tissue is further divided into three major types. They are soft connective tissue, hard connective tissue, and fluid connective tissue. Soft connective tissue uh, is also it also has its types: hard connective tissue, fluid connective tissue. Each of them have subtypes. So look here, it started with hard connective tissue, bone and cartilage. They are harder than other connective tissues. Blood and lymph, they are fluid, liquid. And soft connective tissue is further divided into two types. They are loose and dense. There are again its types. So about all of them we have to read. Relatively plant tissue, here are number of tissues, many more types of tissues. Yes. So loose connective tissue is areolar and adipose. Examples are areolar and adipose. And in dense connective tissue, there are what? Tendon and ligaments. So name, keep in your brain. At least measure 4 types. After that, about their types, we will try to remember again. Doesn't matter. Some things we have to remember also, not each and everything, but you have to remember by understanding. Okay. So epithelial, muscular, connective, and nervous. Mainly, there are 4 animal tissues. At first, we will start about epithelial tissue. So what is epithelial tissue? For that, at first, you see different type of epithelial tissues shown in the diagram. They are simple squamous, simple cuboidal or cubical, simple columnar. Then they are transitional, about which we do not have to read in our syllabus. And here these terms are little bit more than our syllabus. But here, by giving this diagram, I would like to show you that epithelial tissue may be made of single layer or many layers of cells. If it is made up of single layers, the term simple is used in beginning. Keep in mind. And if there are number of layers, then that there is what term? Stratified, strata, layered. Strata is layer. Yes. So that is stratified. That means the layer of cells are found one over another. Okay. So they may have single layer or many layers. Main types are what? Squamous, cuboidal, and columnar. I introduced 4 because in fact that glandular one is modified from them. Main are 3. Okay. Okay. Doesn't matter. So here what are its characteristics? Let's see. Epithelial tissues provide covering of organs and lining of cavities. So organs may be outside our body or inside our body, anywhere. The covering of these organs, maybe eye, covering of that eyeball, that is made up of what? Epithelial tissue. And lining of cavities, nasal cavity, ear cavity. So these cavities, inner layer is called as lining. So these lining are also made up of what? Epithelial tissues. Blood vessels, there are cavities. Yes, so inner lining, outer lining, they are made up of epithelial tissues. So main thing, epithelial tissues form covering and lining. Yes. Cells of this tissue are attached on a basement membrane. To understand basement membrane, here if you remember the diagrams I shown you, there is a layer of non-living structure on which cells are arranged. So as I told you that it may be single layered or many layered. So here cells are attached with a layer. That layer is called as what? Basement membrane. Okay. So it is a special characteristic of this tissue, that epithelial tissues have cells arranged on what? Basement membrane. In any animal tissue, basement membranes are not found. Keep in mind. Okay. So that is basement membrane. Again, when I will display here some epithelial tissues diagram, then you will hear it, you will note it that there is basement membrane or not. Cells have no intercellular space. The gap between cells is called as intercellular space, which is absent in them. Cells are found in single or many layers, already I told you. Major function of this tissue are what? Protection, covering. What does cover do? Protects our organs. Secretion, produces some juices. Excretion, helps to throw out the unnecessary substances from our body. And absorption, after digestion of food, what happens? That is absorbed in our body, mixed up with blood. Yes, so that absorption. So these things are done by epithelial tissues. They are also very important tissues in our body. The tissue is divided into different types: pavement epithelium, cubical epithelium, columnar epithelium, and glandular epithelium. Okay, what are they? Pavement epithelium, cubical epithelium, columnar epithelium, and glandular epithelium. There are 4 subtypes of epithelial tissue. Okay. Now, at first we are going to read about pavement epithelium. So look here, basement membrane. Is it here? Yes, basement membrane. And on it, this cell is unique. These cells are unique for this tissue because they are very flat, like slates on the roof. How slates are arranged on the roof? How tiles are arranged on the floor of our washrooms? Yeah, inside our rooms also, inside passages, you have seen. So like that, these flat cells are arranged. And another thing, here, no gap in between the cells. That is, intercellular space is absent. Okay. So pavement term indicates, pavement means also that the blocks are covered. That means footpath. That is also called as pavement. And it is also called as squamous. Squamous. Yes, these 2 terms are used for it. Cells of this epithelium are flat and polygonal. Then cells do not have any intercellular space. The tissue is also called as squamous epithelium. Squamous epithelium. Major function of this tissue are protection and filtration. Yes, and where are they found then? This tissue is found at the layer of covering of what? Heart, lungs, kidneys. As you were told that covering of organs are formed from epithelial tissues. Okay. So it was about pavement epithelium. In fact, how many types in first diagram was shown? There was mainly cubical, columnar, and what? Squamous. So squamous is that pavement. Yes, pavement, cubical, and columnar. And columnar and that cubical modify in other forms also, about which I will tell you later. Now see, cubical epithelium, name cubical. You can say cuboidal also. You can say cuboidal also, same thing. Because cells are cube shaped. Cells have equal length, breadth, and height. About equal length, breadth, and height. That is cube. Yes. So that is called as cuboidal also. Remember that term also. Now, what is its feature? Here by diagram at first study, that is basement membrane. Cells are cube shaped. Main feature is that, like other epithelial tissues, it also does not have any intercellular space. Yeah. Okay. And it is especially found on, that means covering of and lining of ducts. Ducts means tubes, vessels inside our body. Cells of this epithelium are cubical. Cells do not have any intercellular space. Major function of this tissue is protection and secretion. For secretion, they have to modify and then they will be called as glandular epithelium. Keep in mind. Okay. Here, this tissue as well as columnar about which you have to read, they may modify into glandular, and at that condition they produce some juices. For that they should have gland cells, and then they will call it what? Glandular epithelium. So because they are modified into glandular, that's why we are given here that they help in secretion. This type of tissue is found at covering of ducts of kidneys. Thyroid gland, where is found? Where is it found? Thyroid gland? Thyroid gland is found here inside our throat. And when it enlarges abnormally, it becomes goiter. It becomes goiter. Okay. Inner layer of uterus in female reproductive organs, uterus, and respiratory tracts, respiratory ducts, tracts, ducts, tubes, similar, synonyms. Okay. So it was about cubical epithelium. So two types of epithelium we have finished. What is the next one? Columnar epithelium. And see the cell shape. Is it cube shaped? Oh, it is pillar like. Its height is greater than its length and breadth. That's why it became what? Columnar. In the table, column, height, a row. Do you remember it? So that's why it is termed as what? Columnar epithelium. And same, okay, later I will tell about its modification. Cells of this epithelium are pillar-like. The cells may have hairy structures at free margins, which is not shown here. But not only columnar, but that cuboidal also. If here is cuboidal cells on basement membrane, it is one type of epithelium. This one is another type about which we are just doing, columnar. And here basal nuclei, that means that nuclei are found near base. Okay, leave it. Main thing to make you understand is that if they have hair-like structures here, then their name is changed. That is cilia. That also may have. As I told you that cubical epithelium and columnar epithelium may modify into different form. So if they have such hairy structures, now they will be termed as what? Ciliated epithelium. So as a separate epithelium type, we do not have to read in our course, but because they modify in this form, you have to keep in mind. Okay? Such type of ciliated epithelia are found in respiratory tract, in female reproductive tract, which help to make flow substances in a particular direction. Okay? Okay, go ahead. So next is the major function of this tissue is to secrete and absorb. This type of tissue is found in gallbladder. Gallbladder, you know, pitta thyli. Yes, that is found inside, that means at the basal part of liver, in which bile is collected. Salivary gland is here. If you press here, you will feel something, some liquid, more liquid inside your mouth. So that is salivary gland, and the saliva formed in this region are forced in your mouth. From there regularly saliva comes in our mouth, which is very essential for digestion. Yeah. Okay. And intestinal region, intestine, there are also the presence of this type of epithelium. Now, the last type of epithelial tissue is glandular epithelium, about which we are going to see. And if you observe this diagram, you will find that the cells are cuboidal, cubical in shape. And here the cells are elongated as you did in columnar epithelium. So they are modified from cubical epithelium and columnar epithelium. But what is the difference? They have glands, that means gland cells, goblet cells, and they are able to produce juice. So they are mainly related with secretion. Okay. So if this modification is found in columnar epithelium as well as cuboidal epithelium, then that is especially termed as glandular epithelium. So, this epithelium is modified from cubical or columnar epithelium. It has goblet cells. Goblet cells are also termed as gland cells. Yes. The major function of this tissue is to produce different types of juices required for the body. So, obviously, they are found where? On the glands. Yes. And in this way, we have finished about epithelial tissue. So, if you have finished about epithelial tissue, let's see what have you learned. So, one question, I am asking some question to you. What is animal tissue? Simple, very simply you have defined it. Okay. Tell any two differences between plant and animal tissues. That also can be given. Yes. In how many major types animal tissue is divided? 4 types, you know it. What is difference between cuboidal and columnar epithelium? What is difference? Single difference you have to say. Yes, on the basis of the shape of cell you can say that. Which type of epithelium tissue forms inner layer of intestine? That is columnar. Yes, good. Okay, now we are going to discuss about next tissue, and here I am going to teach you nervous tissue, which is given in last in the sequence, but because it is shorter to study, that's why it is taught you at first, doesn't matter. It is nervous tissue. And for nervous tissue, here one diagram I am showing you. This is nervous system. Nervous tissue and nervous system are different things. Yes, nervous system is, as you know, that tissue and system, already the difference is told. So, look here, brain, spinal cord and nerves, and here ganglion is also given. Ganglion and nerves, they are found in that nerves. They are parts of other than brain and spinal cord. So, all together they form nervous tissue, and you will surprise that like wire is supplied in whole the house for power, here these type of structures are in the form of network, and about all the cells are connected by this type of cells, because living cells have sensation. Yes, and this sensation is conducted by this system, and whole the system is made of nervous tissue and nerve cell. Nerve cell is more smaller unit of it, about which we will discuss. So, nervous tissue, how can you define it? Here one nerve cell is given. At first see what is nervous tissue. The tissue which changes stimulus. You know what is a stimulus? Don't know. Stimulus is any change in the environment that may be outside your body or inside your body, to which you can feel. That is a stimulus. If you feel it is too hot, that is temperature is stimulus. If you are feeling, oh, it is highly pressed, so pressure is a stimulus. Pain is a stimulus. Yes, cold, hot, stimulus. So, stimulus is anything to which we can feel through our sense organs. So, here stimulus is changed into impulses. Another term you have got, impulse. Impulse is electrical signal. If anybody touches here, that touch is stimulus. This touch does not, that finger does not reach in the brain, its message reaches. So, this touch, this stimulus is changed by some cells of our body into electrical signals, and immediately they transfer to the related part, that may be in spinal cord and brain. Yes. So, for sensation. So, that is impulse. These terms you have to keep in mind, impulse and stimulus. Okay. The tissue which changes the stimulus into impulses and transmits the impulses inside the body for what? Sensation is called nervous tissue. So, here the most complex part of it is shown here, and the most simplest form is also shown here. All the nervous system is made up of this cell. Here you feel that this diagram is very difficult to sketch? No. Try with me. I am teaching you that how can you sketch this diagram easily. Just it is nerve cell or neuron. Yes, it is called as what? Neuron. You also can say nerve cell. Nerve cell. Okay. It is not necessary to make in the same shape as it is given there. Just make star-like structure. You can do it easily. Yes. And then pull it down. Then pull it down. Divide it into two branches. And little bit more branches you have to make. Some button-like structures. Here also in the same button-like structures. And here this branch has number of, that means this fiber has number of branches. So you can sketch it easily. Yes, easily. So in this way we have two types of branches in it. Here round structure, here cytoplasm, then medullary sheath. Look how easily we can sketch a nerve cell. Yes, later we will read. I will give you main point, don't worry. At first try to learn how can I sketch about it. Yeah. So there are two major parts. That is cell body or cyton, and the rest part is that long thread-like structure is axon. Don't say Jackson. Axon. Yes. Okay. And here that is also thread-like structure. The main, here the branches are called as dendrites. Dendrites. And the main branch, I'm not talking about their branches again, that is called as dendron. Yes, that is nucleus. All of them are part of cell body. Nucleus. Don't cross arrows while sketching diagram. That is cytoplasm. These terms you have done in the structure of cell. Here mainly axon is this region. Axon. It may or may not be covered by this sheath, this covering. Yes, this covering may or may not be found in a nerve cell. That is, this structure is called as medullary sheath. Medullary sheath or myelin sheath. And these constrictions are termed as nodes of Renviers, and that is, I told you that button like, really it is termed as buttons, but not for your shirt. Yeah, buttons. And here you have to understand one more thing, that the dendrite of other nerve cell is connected with it. Dendrite of other nerve cell is connected with it, but not connected. There is little bit gap. I told you that in the form of electrical signal, the sensation is done. So what happens when here it receives any stimulus? Stimulus is changed into impulse and it is brought to cell body by dendrite. Then from cell body, this impulse is taken to dendrite of next nerve cell by axon. So remember the function of these two type of fibers. Dendrites bring the impulses to the cell body and axon carry the impulses to dendrite of another nerve cell. And as it is electrical signal, they jump in the form of ions. In detail in higher classes you will read. At present you do not have to read in detail about it. And then again same process repeats. In this way, even in moment, the message reaches from one place to another place in the form of electricity, like electricity flows from one end of wire to another within moment. So in this way, the impulse is transferred by this structure. Let's see in detail in here in slide. So in slide you are clear, dendrites, nucleus, cell body, axon, yes, different parts are shown here. And its unit is what? It is given that neuron. So look here about neuron. Diagram is finished. I will not discuss more about it. A nerve cell or neuron consists of cyton or cell body and axon, two major parts. Yes. Then cyton is gray and axon is white. Here you have to remember it that it is gray in color and it is white in color. And this color makes the outer or inner surface of brain and spinal cord gray or white. Have you seen ever the outer surface of brain? Maybe of goat, maybe of other birds in your meat. Have you seen ever? That is gray in color. Harani jasto. Gray. Have you seen? That is because of that region is found at that surface. And the spinal cord, which is found inside our backbone, it has white surface. That means outer surface is white because there is number of what? Axons. Okay. Now go ahead. Next one is the long fibers generated from cell body is called axon, and short and highly branched fibers generated from cyton are called dendrites. So these two branches are of two types. They are what? Dendrons and axon. The branches of dendrons are especially termed as dendrites. So you can say dendrites and axon, doesn't matter. That is not wrong. Yes. So special function I told you. What is the function of dendrite and what is the function of axon? Now axon carries impulses from cell body. Yes, already given. That is for your note. Bundle of axon is called as nerve. Look, another term is coined here. Nerve, ganglion. When number of these axons unite together, they form a bundle, and that is called as what? Nerve. Okay. And when cluster of this head-like structure is accumulated at a place, then it is called as ganglion. Spelling is very easy to remember. Lion's gang. Gang of lion. Ganglion. Yes. Okay. Don't forget the spelling. So ganglion is just cluster of what? Cell body, and nerve is bundle of what? Axon. Okay. And now your project work. We have finished about two types of animal tissues, and here I am giving you project work for animal tissue, plant tissue, both. Yes. So what is your project work? Prepare a concept map on a chart paper. The sample is given below. So you can just take a screenshot. Yes. Or here I will help you from your book also. You can take it. Plant tissue and animal tissue are given separately. You have to keep them together by giving the heading of tissue. So a chart you have to make in which all the types of plant tissue and animal tissue are mentioned. Okay. And very neatly you have to make it. So today we have discussed about animal tissue. Then we compared animal tissues with plant tissue. Then I presented one table in which many types of animal tissues were given. And then from them about epithelial tissue and their types, and nervous tissue and neuron, which is a component of it, unit of it. About them we have studied today. So let's see whatever you have understood. First question for you is, which epithelium is found at the inner surface of kidney and salivary gland? Just try to take. What is your answer? It is okay or not? Let's see. It is cuboidal. What was your answer? You compare it. Okay, next one. Which type of epithelium has goblet cell? Oh, very easily, very unique term. I think you remember it. Yes, that is what? Glandular. Which part of the neuron carries the impulses from one nerve cell to another nerve cell? That is also easy. The longest one. Yes, that is axon. Next one is, in which epithelium the cells look like tiles on floor? More easy question. Yes, that is pavement or squamous. Pavement is not given here, but squamous is here. Yes. Okay. Now here are a list of questions to which you have to copy, and then you have to write answer later. So first question is, define ganglion. Second one is, write the function of fibers of neuron. Fibers means both the fibers, dendrites and axon both. Next one is, write two functions of columnar epithelium. What will be the effect on digestion if there is no glandular epithelium? You think once. Link the function of glandular epithelium with digestion. Yes. We know that a neuron has white and gray parts in it. Yes. Brain has cytons and spinal cord has axon at their surface. Which of brain and spinal cord has its outer surface white? So question is long, but answer is not long. Just you have to think more. So you will write answer of these questions and you will show to your teacher. Okay, students, that's all for today. I will see you in next class. Namaste.